welcome back to Darvanalee Designs. It's Thursday, that means it's diamond paint with me, Wip'n'Chat. So we are working on our Day of the Dead girl. I did find a website that had her, and I did drop a link underneath the last one, so you can find her there if you're looking for her. I've got some more done since the last time we were on. I also got my nails done, so they look pretty again. And yeah, black and silver this time. All right, so if you're a new person here, welcome to the channel. We're a multi-craft channel, and we cover all sorts of things from diamond painting right through to sewing and crafting tutorials. So if you like that sort of thing, hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it. Then that way you won't miss out on any future posts. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming along and joining in the fun with me. Hopefully you get some diamonds down today as well. And you can see here some colour is starting to come into it. Haven't had much of a chance to work on it in the last in the last week basically. I did get some done. Alright, so we are going to be putting some diamonds down today. We are starting on a new section. So we're going to be starting to put some colour in. So you can see here we've had some grey and stuff going in. As I said, I haven't really had much of a chance to put any dots down, diamonds down, but I am freeing up a lot of my time at the moment in the evenings, just pouring myself a nice cup of coffee. It is first thing in the morning here, so my voice is probably going to be a little bit scratchy. Takes a little while for it to wake up. I dare say that my husband will pop in. He's left his camera behind, so that's sort of how I'm feeling this morning. I'll have a cafe mocha vodka Valium latte to go, please. That's how I'm feeling today. So, right, let's get stuck into this, shall we? Alright, I'm pretty happy with all the placement and how it's going. I do need to find my washi tape. Alright, so I'm just going to put a little bit of washi tape on there to cover that little spot there. Alright, good eye. My little bumblebees are so cute. Alright, so let's get into it, hey? So how has everybody been? Hopefully you've all been safe and well and getting lots of crafting in for those that are in lockdown. So need my coffee this morning. Alright, let's get a colour, shall we? Alright, I think I might go with number 3. Which is 817. A little bit of red. Excuse me, so you can hear my voice is very croaky. Happens a lot with my voice. It just, yeah. When I wake up first thing in the morning, it takes an hour or so for it to kick in. I think my family's hoping that one day my voice won't work ever. That I can just be there and be quiet. I'm positive of it. Oh, dear me. No, I'm sure they don't think that at all. But it seems like that sometimes. Oh, dear me. Alright, so as I said, how is everybody? I'll just ask that question again. I'm a little bit all over the place today, as you can tell. We've got lots going on here in the Reed household. If you've been hanging around for a while, you know that my husband is trying to buy the workshop, the house that we had for the girls. We decided to sell to clear our debt and make it easier if we own the building. If anything financially happens, we don't have to worry about rent and all that sort of stuff. So the house settled yesterday. It was a few days late, but it settled yesterday. The money is in the bank, and my hubby is next week. I think they're signing contracts and stuff. So yeah, all happening. And the only reason it's happening next week is because our solicitor is in hospital at the moment. She's okay. She was just having some surgery minor surgery, but she has to be in hospital for a couple of days, so she can't exactly be working, although she did still work on our settlement because she went into hospital just a week before it was so she went in last Wednesday, I think it was, so that would be a week ago, and then we were supposed to settle on the Monday, but it wasn't our end, it was actually their end. There was some hiccup, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend. We have a long weekend coming up here. Even though the Ekka has been cancelled, we still have a public holiday, so I'm super excited about that, because that usually means that I don't do any work and I go for flat out during this week leading up to it, and then I get the 3 days off, and we're going to the movies on Sunday for my daughter's 15th birthday. So the surly 14-year-old will turn into the surly 15-year-old on Sunday. And yeah, so we're looking forward to that. We asked her if she wanted to bring any friends, and she declined. She just wants to go as a family, so we're heading on over. And yeah, we're going to spend the day with her, and her sister's going to give her some money to do some shopping over there as a present. We've already got her present because we were over there last week. We had no idea we were going to go over this week as well. But yeah, the girls had organised amongst themselves to go, and then they came and asked us, and we were like, yep, no worries, off we'll go. So I have no idea what movie we're seeing. Apparently tickets are booked, and we've just got to turn up. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think it's actually the third part to the Suicide Squad movies. So I don't know what it's called, but anyway, I think that's the only time my eldest wants to go to the movies, is when the Suicide Squad stuff's on, or a Marvel movie. So I'm guessing that's what it is, which is okay. That I don't mind. I don't mind those movies, so I watch all the Marvel movies myself. And so yeah, I'm pretty excited that we're going over again for the girls. And Nerily has wanted to get her helix pierced for quite some time. So for those who don't know what the helix is, that's the top part of your ear. I've had mine done since I was about her age, maybe a bit younger, and she's always wanted one, but I said to her she had to wait till she was older to get it. And then they changed the rules, and you had to have parental permission, or a parental with you, as we say, the parentals. And yeah, so we went and got that done, and so she was happy about that. About 2 seconds after she got it done, she let her hair down. I'm like, honey, you might want to put your hair up, because that's going to get wrapped around that stud. And sure enough, I had to stop. We had to stop, and can you hear my cat? That's my old boy. That's Snowy. He's about 13 years old, 12, 13 years old. And he's an ex-farm cat. So he used to be a working cat. And when I say a working cat, his whole job was to keep the vermin at bay. And so he used to patrol when we're on the farm. He used to patrol the feed shed and all that sort of stuff, and that was his job. I mean, obviously he got fed, but yeah, that was his job. He was a hunter, and he'd keep the mice population down. Sorry for all those people that like mice, but you know, when you're on a farm, you don't want them eating you out of house and home. So that was his job. And then we moved into town, and he didn't need to be doing that anymore, but he still keeps the vermin down here around the house, and you know, because there's still vermin around. You just don't see them as much as you do on the farm. More places, well, not more places to hide, just not as many, I guess. Yeah, so, but every now and again he comes to the front door where I'm doing my diamond painting, and he hears me talking, and that's him saying good morning. So yeah, he has a car that he sleeps in out the back. We have an old car out the back that's his home. He doesn't like to come inside, so for those that don't know the story, he actually suffers really badly from anxiety if he comes inside. And he starts to really stress out, and he starts to shake, and he starts to freak out. So he'll come into the kitchen, laundry in the house, and he'll sit there for a little while, or he'll occasionally come in and sit under the table. But when it becomes at night, he doesn't stay in the house. We've tried to keep him in the house the older he's got, and he starts to freak out. And we're worried that he'll end up hurting himself, because he has in the past thrown himself at the door and trying to open the door to get out. So we've got this old wreck of a car that my husband pulled parts off. And we've got quite a large yard, and it's up the back, and that's where he stays. The vet reckoned he didn't have much time to go because he was so old and all the rest of it, but that was 4 years ago. And I had never questioned it or anything like that, but the other, when was it? It must have been a couple of weeks ago now. Neroli or Savannah, one of them, asked me what the life expectancy of a cat is. An outdoor cat, their life expectancy is only 2 to 5 years. And he's almost 13. So we're actually starting to think he's the ghost cat. And he's getting a little bit of dementia, because he's never really lashed out. Like, he's a grumpy cat, but he's never really lashed out at Brendan or I before. And in the last couple of months, he's been like, he doesn't recognize us anymore. And then other times it's like we're long lost buddies. So he's starting to get a bit long in the tooth, and he's starting to get a little bit of dementia. He's a white cat, and he loves to sunbake, and basically the vet pretty much said to us, you know what, he just likes to do it, and there's no stopping him. He's old, he's long in the tooth. Instead of trying to fight with the cat, just let him be. So but I have noticed that he's not sunbaking as much, so it's giving him a chance. One of his ears is pretty bad, and so we try to shoo him out of the sun when we see him, especially in summer. Like, he just lays in the full heat, like, you crazy cat. And so we've got plenty of shade and everything for him in the summer, and we've got, he's got the car, and he loves it. Like, he sits on the windowsill. Like, one of the windows doesn't have a window in it, so it's just the sill of the door, and he sits there, and he's like king of the kids. He's just sitting there watching the world go by, and meows at us as we walk past. And that's where he hangs out. That's where he sleeps. That's where he likes to hide at night and all the rest of it. He very rarely you see him outside the gate. Like, he'll sit outside the gate, but he won't go anywhere. He'll just sit right on the threshold of the gate, as if to say, I can't go any. Like, it's like there's an invisible force there that he can't go any further, and that's where he sits. If we're out there, he'll venture. He'll come out to the trees or to the cars, but other than that, he doesn't venture too far, which is good. Which in turn teaches the other cat that we've got here. She's only young. We've only just got her, Arlo. So she's a pure black. Well, she's not pure black. She's black with a white whisker, and I think she's got a white little patch on under her chest. So she's only relatively new. She's almost a year old, I think, now. So she's been in Snowy boot camp, and he's a grumpy old bugger, I tell ya. Gives her what for. And so they got along. So we have a black and white cat. He's had his good morning, and he's toddled off now. So I'll just wait for the other one. She'll turn up soon and start carrying on as well. As soon as they hear me out here, they start. So what else has been happening? Not a great deal, really. I've been super busy with work. I'm in the process of putting the spring issue of the Down the Rabbit Hole magazine together. So, so that takes a little bit of my time, and I've been spending time with Brendan watching some TV shows and in the truck and whatnot, but and I've been doing a little bit of quilting. I haven't finished a quilt in a while. I've got a really big one in the machine at the moment, and I've been slowly doing that a little bit each day. The lady's not in any hurry for it, so I just said to her if it's all right, I'll just do a little bit each day and get it done. I also have to put a binding on that one as well. Yeah, so the major thing is that we're just super psyched that the house is settled and we can move on with the next stage of Brendan's business. Yeah, super pumped about that. We thought at one stage, we thought, maybe they're not going to, their contract's going to fall over, but no, they just had some issues getting some money together, last bit of the money together. It took a little bit longer for something to clear at their end, and yeah, so, but it all worked out in the end, so I'm pretty happy with that. And that'll keep Brendan busy for the next few months, getting that all sorted out, and he's going to start doing some improvements over at the shed just to give them a better working space, because like they've only got the one shed there, so they just want to put a cover out the back so they've got room to move out the back, especially in our wet season. If it's raining and stuff, they can still work out there. And also, like, they've got to do some earthworks and all that sort of stuff there as well, just to tidy it up. We can now put a fence around the yard because we didn't want to spend, it was going to cost us quite a pretty penny to fence the yard, and then at the possibility that the landlord could say, oh, we're terminating your lease or whatever, which, you know, that doesn't happen often, but it can happen. And we'd rather, you know, not sink money into someone else's property if we don't have to. I mean, if we had to do it and we had no choice, we would have. These are all so stuck together. I don't know why. It's just full of static. Savannah's been busy working away. Mia is going well. She's in lockdown at the moment and not at school. So they're learning from home, which will be interesting because that's the first time they've had to do learning from home. So that should be interesting for her and her mother. Luckily for preps, most of it is just play-based. So it'll be just stuff that they'll do on the iPad. I don't think it's going to be a very long lockdown, although they did extend it from the 3 days because, to be honest, I'm so over it. I think I've got coronavirus fatigue. Just the news outlets, you know, constantly talking about it. And then, you know, you've got the whole thing, you know, what's true, what's not true, what's sensationalized, what isn't. You know, it's just so conflicting and confusing, and I'm just glad that I live out in the middle of whoop whoop and it doesn't seem to be affecting us too much out here. I mean, obviously it's limiting where we can go, but that's nothing compared to the people that are in lockdown and you know, isolated because their partner is at one end of the country, they're at the other, you know, or those that don't have partners and are by themselves, and those with kids, little kids and trying to learn, like it's nothing in comparison. I do feel for you. But yeah, it's just starting to, I've actually stopped watching the news. It's just no need to watch it. I turn the radio on when I drive the kids to school in the morning. I usually get 1 or 2 news stories, depends how long I'm out for. And I usually get they do a catch up on it there, and then the rest of the time I just avoid it. A little bit disappointing, really, because journalists, used to report the news. Now they seem like they just make the news up to whatever gets the most clicks and stuff like that. Just drives me mental. So I'm suffering from a little bit of news fatigue. That's going to look so pretty, those colours. So let me know in the comments below what you've been working on. If you're stitching, or are you diamond painting with me? The lovely Gail's been working on an anniversary piece, and she came and visited me last week via YouTube and sat and did some diamond painting and listening to me prattle on. So thank you, Gail, for popping in and saying hi and that. I love to see your comments down below. Let me know if you're a new subscriber too, and how long you've been subscribed for, if it's the first time you've watched a diamond paint with me. I also do stitch with me's on Mondays. I do a floss tube, which is my cross stitch hobby update on what I'm doing. I really probably should take that bangle off. That's annoying me, so it's got to be annoying you guys. There we go. And I do in the studio with Nicole on a Saturday. That's sort of where I just do crafts that I'm wanting to do. So last week I harvested my lavender, and I made some lavender bath salts for myself and my children. And I tell you, every time I walk into the bathroom, I open up the jar and have a big sniff. And it's so nice, so nice. And it's really it's starting to, the smell is intensifying a lot. And I put a few extra drops, around 10 to 12 drops in the large jar of essential oil along with my lavender flowers. And now what the salt is doing, the rock salt is now drawing the moisture out of the flowers, and that is going all through the rock salt as well. So it's a beautiful smell. It's not overpowering. It's intense, but it's not overpowering. And that's what I like about the French lavender that I use. It can be very intense, the smell, but it's not overpowering. And that's what I like in my bath salts. So at least I smell nice when I get out, not just to put it in the water for the heck of it. I like the perfume to transfer over to me, so I sleep well. But no amount of lavender will help me sleep when I'm trying to get the magazine out and trying to... What is going on with this thing today? It's not picking up. Yeah, it feels like there's wax nuts come out. In you go. Alright, that's in there now. That'll pick it up a bit better. Oh, look at that. How amazing. It works. I'm actually enjoying doing the diamond paint with me's again, because it means that I'm actually getting my diamond paintings done, because I've got a few. And I was hoping to get at least 12 done this year, but with, circumstances had other ideas, so we are where we are, I think. And I've got one that was a whip for quite some time. I still haven't finished it. That was my sewing machine one. I actually have to... I've only got a little bit to go. Like one part's still covered, but where the writing is, it's because I left it sit for so long, the tackiness has gone. So I've got to get it to re-tack. And I've got to do a bit of research on that so I can finish that off, because I only have like about this much to go up the top, and then a few words, and that's it. Or maybe a strip across the top. I don't know where it is. I've put it away somewhere. Where did I put that? No, it's up there under a piece of cardboard, so it's protected. What else is coming up? Oh, we've got my hubby was talking about doing some more of the renos out the front here. He's got a little bit of free time coming up, so I'm going to drill the holes into the bench, so my leads, because at the moment I've got leads sitting all on top of these benches, and so I'm going to put holes so the leads can come up, and we'll put a cap around so they don't fall back down again, but I can have my sewing machine permanently plugged in. And I've moved my computer from here now on this bench to, it's going to another spot, and so I can have my vintage machine back up as well, so it'll start making appearances again soon. He reckons that we should have the bottom level of the studio, and when I say levels, it's not 2-story, it's just we've got one level and then we've got an upper level that we want to do, but we should have the bottom level finished in the next month or so, maybe a bit longer, it depends. Like at the moment he's got some free time, but yeah, that can change at any time. So yeah, but that's the plan. It's been a work in progress. The wall that you see behind me when I do my floss tube or my tutorials, that is going to be a lot longer because we have to do some reevaluating of that one, because there's a pole there, so we either have to and it's not a load, I don't think it's a load bearing pole, but it just makes the wall kick a little bit, so we've just got to do a little bit of fluffing around with it, and we should be right to get it to sit flat, and then I can paint it. And yeah, then I can get all my, and I can't put all my mini quilts up until that's done, because I'll have to just put them down again, and there's a little bit of a slant, and that's going to have all my mini quilts on there. So I've got like orphan blocks and all that sort of stuff that I've just turned into like mini quilts, and that means that I can get them all up once that wall's done. So we just had to reevaluate. We thought it was going to work, and then it turns out it didn't. So, but that happens. And we don't get anybody to come in and do it. We just do it ourselves when we've got time. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't for a couple of months or even a year like it's been, so be it. I mean, my work area is pretty serviceable anyway. What is with all of these diamonds being upside down today? They just won't turn. It's windy here today too, so the August winds are starting, which means it's going to start getting warmer. We had quite a warm day the other day. On Monday it was 27 degrees here. We went from like 13 to 27. I think it was like 18 degrees the day before. On the week before it was like 10 and 12 degrees, and yeah, and then Monday, boom, 27, take that. It was so nice though. It was just so nice after it being cold for so long. I don't do well with the cold at all. But it's, you can feel that the weather's changing. Like the nights have got a little bit warmer as well, so they're still in the single digits, but not as freezing as well, so that's good. I'm so excited for the warm weather. Get out and start walking again. I just do not do well. I went to the doctors to get results for my cholesterol and all the rest of it, and she goes, "Are you exercising?" And I just looked at her and went, "No." I said, "I told you that as soon as it gets cold I don't exercise." I said, "But come springtime, as soon as it starts warming up and it gets light first thing in the morning, I'm out the door like a shot, not a problem." In winter, yeah, no, I'm not doing nothing. I've started doing a bit of yoga in the mornings as well. So that's just stretching me out and preparing me for starting to walk and whatnot. I told Lee the other day that we're going to start walking, so she just looked at me. She goes, "Why me?" I'm like, "I don't know. Who else would I walk with?" Savannah does not. She does not have any time on that, so it might encourage Lee to get a job. Who knows? All right. Now, 310. Spilled some. All right, let's get this 310 in, eh? You see how they're not as stuck together as those red ones? These seem to be like more free moving. I don't know what's going to see. Look, and they're even stuck to the lid as well. Like they just seem to be full of static. Don't know what's going on with those ones. Yeah. Anyway, the house is so quiet today. I had Nicole home yesterday because she wasn't feeling well. Poor kid. She's going to be like me. Ends up with a headache a couple of times a month on that for her cycle, and I feel sorry for her. But yeah, so I just take the day off. And they do settle. Like I remember when I was her age, they were quite intense. But as I got older, they started to settle, and they now they are very few and far between. My headaches now are more triggered by something that I've eaten and not hormonal anymore, because I've gone into that next stage, which is menopause. So I don't have the I was still getting them, and probably in the last 8 to 9 months I haven't been getting them. So I'd say I've gone completely through the change now. And so now the only time I tend to get them is if I eat something that has a preservative that doesn't sit well with me, and sometimes I can get away with it and other times I can't. So any sort of candy from America, whatever preservatives they use in their candies, not all of them. I can eat Butterfingers, my favourite. Thanks to Becky, sent me some Butterfingers in the mail once with some quilt patterns, and I fell in love with those. And there's a shop over in Toowoomba. They're not entirely but the problem is I'm not eating them at the moment because I'm following a vegan diet. And the reason that I'm doing I'm trying to be whole food, plant-based, but with being busy, sometimes I eat, I'll eat some quick food. Most part I eat, whole food and plant-based. And I started doing that in January, and I've had some success with that. I've lost 10 kilos. And I'm being monitored closely by my doctor and all the rest of it. We're trying to get my cholesterol down at the moment. That's not why I started it. I started it because I was suffering terribly with heartburn. Like, it was keeping me awake. And during the the global lockdown, essentially, because everybody was in lockdown at that stage, I couldn't get like Mylanta or Gaviscon. Gaviscon is my preferred antacid, and I couldn't get any of it. I couldn't get the liquid, and the little chalk tabs don't do it for me. Like, ugh. So I started taking things out of my diet, and animal products was one of them. So I have I took out dairy, was the first one that I took out. I haven't had milk in my coffee. I've got almond milk in my coffee now, but I haven't had cow's milk in my coffee for a long time, and I was drinking black coffee, but coffee is quite acidic, so that wasn't helping with my heartburn as time went on. When I took the milk out, it really did help. I wasn't getting it as much. But I just found that my diet was, even though I eat predominantly healthy, I think I well, I know I wasn't eating at the optimum when I decided to make this change. And, you know, I'd be, like, I watch a few YouTubers and stuff like that because I used to be vegetarian and before I was with my husband, and, well, pescatarian more than vegetarian because I used to eat fish. So, but I was predominantly vegetarian. Like, if I had a choice between a meat dish and a vegetarian dish, I'd always go for the vegetarian dish. And so I still had like milk and dairy products, and I still had you know, eggs, and I had occasional pieces of fish and stuff like that. And then I met my husband, and I started eating, you know, how I stayed vegetarian for quite some time, pescatarian for quite some time. But then, you know, we just got super busy, and it was just not time effective for me to be cooking 2 different meals, because I can assure you there's not a lot of vegetables in my husband's diet. There is now, but then there wasn't. Or very basic vegetables, you know, nothing in comparison to what I eat. Like, so yeah, so basically I started to eat how he was, and subsequently I started to have a lot of issues. So one of those issues, now whether it was because I started eating different or not, I could never tell you that, but one of the issues in this time frame was my thyroid stopped working and all this sort of stuff. I wasn't sleeping well. My iron levels went way down low, and all the doctors kept saying to me is, oh, you have some more red meat and all the rest of it. And I'm like, I don't want to eat any more red meat, because I was already eating more than I'd normally eaten, so surely my iron levels would have went up. Anyway, they didn't. So basically I just got to the point, fast forward a few years, and I just got to the point last year where I was constantly getting woken up by heartburn. And when I say woken up, it was like the reflux was coming up into the acid reflux was coming up into my throat when I was asleep. So essentially I was having to sleep sitting up. There was a couple of times that I woke up that it felt like it burnt my throat. And because I couldn't get hold of any antacid liquid, and the little chalk tabs just were not, like, I had them, but they just weren't working. So I started sort of thinking to myself, you know what, I need to make a change and all the rest of it. So I psyched myself up. This was just before Christmas that I psyched myself up, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a change next year. I'm going to cut everything out. I'm just going to be totally plant-based. So I started looking into veganism, and then realised that there was a lot of crap food in veganism as well. So that led me down the garden path of whole food plant-based. And that's sort of where I've ended up. I went on a holiday with my daughters for 2 weeks because I hadn't spent much time with them last year. And, you know, we had that whole phase where Mia was just mucking up, and it was not pleasurable for us to go out as a family. So I'd stay home so Brendan and the girls could go out and do stuff. And I just said to him, and that will be the deal. Like, in the Christmas holidays, we're going to go away for a week. It was going to be 2 weeks, and then we decided I'm going to go just for a week, and he would have Mia for that week, and I get to spend a whole week with the girls, and we'd go and do the theme parks and all that sort of stuff. And that's what we did. So, and on that trip, I sort of started to cut things back. I started just opting for vegetarian meals and stuff like that just prior to that. And I cut the meat down. Because we were eating meat every day, like basically meat and 3 veg. And so it was just, obviously it was just an overload on my body. I was overweight as well, which did not help. You know, because I was cooking for what the family wanted, not what my body needed. And so I didn't tell anybody. And on the 14th of January, I just stopped eating meat altogether, all animal products. So anything that has a face doesn't get eaten. And so I did that, and it was going really, really well. I transitioned really quickly. I didn't long for a piece of meat or chicken or anything like that. Like, don't get me wrong, it still smells good. The eggs are the problem because I eat a lot of eggs. Well, I used to. I haven't had an egg since January. That was a bit of a problem. That was a struggle, because I don't mind having, you know, a poached egg on a muffin and all the rest of it. But until I get my weight down, I want to keep all animal products out. And since I've done that, the change was almost instant. Like within 3 days, I had heartburn every day. I'm talking every single day. I had acid reflux of varying levels. And pretty much from that moment that I decided that was it, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not dealing with it. I wasn't sleeping well. I was tired. I was under a lot of stress with the stuff happening with Mia, because that was all happening around the same time. And I just went, you know what, that's it. I need to make a change. So I didn't tell anybody. I just stopped eating. I started cooking separate meals. They'd go to out for the day or work or whatever. While they were at work, I was prepping and stuff like that. And at the bottom of the fridge, I would have my containers with food and stuff. Anything that could be frozen, I'd freeze. And just made it easy for myself. Because you can freeze rice, basmati rice. You can freeze a lot of your Indian dishes and all that sort of stuff. And I love eating all that food. So I took the oil out of the diet. So I don't use any sort of oil. I don't have... and this is back in January. I've since added a little bit of oil, because on the advice of my doctor, to add a little bit of olive oil back into my diet. So, because we're trying to get my cholesterol down. So subsequently, I took all the oil out of my diet. So I don't have any added fats, except maybe if I do a stir fry, maybe once or twice a week. And that's it. But I have good fats. So when I say I took all the fats out of my diet, I didn't take avocado out of my diet. I still eat the occasional nuts. I don't eat a lot of them, because I'm actively trying to lose weight. I do have another channel called DDs Vegan Made Easy. That I've set up, and it's got a couple of updates. So it's got the fact that I have gone to the doctors and all the rest of it. So I was I was 89 kilos at my heaviest, and that was around Christmas. And just after Christmas, I did lose a kilo. So when I started this, I was around I think I was about 100 grams over 88 kilos. I'd have to get my diary out. Can't remember what it was. It was 87 or 88. I'd have to look that up. But anyway, it was around that mark. I'm now down at 78 kilos, and I've not done a couple of days exercise here and there, but not enough to be, not consistently enough to have lost weight from that. I've lost over 40 centimeters in body size. I've gone down a size in my jeans. So I had a pair of jeans in my wardrobe that were tight on me. They were size 12. So I would have been in a size 14 jeans, basically. I have lost that. I've gone down to a 12, and they're loose on me. I actually purchased a cheap pair of jeans the other day in a size 10. And I got them on and done up, but they were tight. So I'm pretty excited about that I've come down that size. And I am not getting heartburn. I won't say that it's completely gone, because if I eat the wrong food, so anything that is high in sugar, so cakes and all that sort of stuff are out. I cannot eat them. And I'm spewing because I love having Savannah's brownies, but they're not vegan, so I can't eat them anyway at the moment. And so, yeah, it's just like, I have had some hiccups along the way. Like, I went to my cross-stitch retreat, and I did have some chicken while I was there. And I can honestly say that I didn't enjoy it. Like, it tasted nice and all the rest of it, but I didn't enjoy it. And there's been a couple of times where I've been out and I haven't been able to get a vegan option, so I've gone for the vegetarian option, which is fine. You know, I'm being sensible about it. I'm not being difficult about it or anything, as my husband says. But he's jumped on board, and he actually takes me now when we're out in the truck. He'll take me to places where he knows that I can get vegetables and stuff like that. Sometimes I can't get an oil-free option, so I have to be mindful of that and just watch what I'm eating on that particular day, because oil seems to trigger heartburn. Now, people go, oh, you need to avoid spicy food and all the rest of it. I can eat spice until it's coming out my yoo-hoo, right? So I can eat any sort of Indian food, Middle Eastern food, Mexican that's spicy and all the rest of it, and have no heartburn whatsoever. If it's fatty, if it's got sugar in it, and if it's got dairy in it, look out. I am so crook. And it makes me feel really ill. It stresses me out because I know that I'm not going to sleep well. A new one that's been added to the list, I do like to have corn chips. I can't eat corn chips now. So I'm going to have to find something to make my own corn chips, because the brand, and I did notice that they sort of changed a bit, so I don't know who's making them. It's the Aldi brand. They seem to have changed the texture a little bit. So either they've added something in, or another company is making them. And I get heartburn from them. I can have like one or two, but let's face it, who stops at 1 or 2 corn chips? Now, come on. I like to have nachos just like the rest of us. And so I've made a lot of my favourite meals into vegan meals, but for the most part, enchiladas is probably one of my favorites. I've veganized that, and I only have that every now and again. And I've just found different options for things. Like, I do like to have a little bit of mayonnaise and all the rest of it. I was, as I said, following the whole food, plant-based, oil-free, sugar-free, salt-free, all of that. Like the eating plan, and that was the starch solution is what I was following. And I just found it very, not restrictive, but some of the foods didn't taste quite right. So I would rather have a little bit of flavour. So I'm more now I make vegan food, but I'm not as harpy on the no oil stuff and all the rest of it. For myself, like for a recipe and all the rest of it, if I can avoid having oil in it, yes, I'll avoid that. For the most part, I eat a lot of salads and roasted potatoes with no oil, all done in the air fryer. Anything that I can make in the air fryer, I'll make in the air fryer, to limit the oil and all the rest of it, because, you know, I am losing weight. It is working. My doctor's advised me to up my intake of avocado and olive oil, and I said to her that I didn't want to add more olive oil, but she was happy for me to eat olives, because I said to her, you know, like I explained to her, I try to eat a whole food, and olive oil is not a whole food. It is a product of olives, so I'd rather eat the olives in their whole form, and she agreed with me that that was a better option. So while I've added a little tiny, and when I say tiny bit, like it's just not even a tablespoon, it's like a teaspoon. But when you think about it, there's 100 and, not to harp on calories or anything like that, because I really don't care about calories, but when you think about it, if you're making something and you're adding like drizzling olive oil over it or whatever, and you drizzle a tablespoon of olive oil into that dish, you've just added 150 calories to that dish, because a tablespoon of olive oil is about 150 calories. So that sort of puts it into perspective for you. Like, you can really get the calories out of control and start adding extra ones in and start putting weight on again, because because you've added this oil in. So whereas I can have 10 olives and get pretty much around about the same amount of the goodness that the olive oil's got. Like, you know, I don't necessarily agree with the fact that olive oil is good for you. I think that the olives are a better option for you, but if olive oil is all you can get, fair enough. But I can eat a handful of olives and not even get close to 150 calories. and I'm getting the fiber from that and the other vitamins and minerals and everything that's in the olive. So do you see where I'm going with that? That's sort of what I'm trying to do. So, and I'm working closely with my doctor. Like I went in March and got my bloods tested because that was the earliest I could get in there. And so we tested for everything: my vitamin D, my cholesterol, my good and bad, as I call it, the good, bad, and the ugly. I tested for iron levels. I tested vitamin B, protein. Like, it's very hard to be protein deficient on a plant-based diet. I'm just saying. If you eat chickpeas and you eat beans and you eat any vegetable has protein in it and varying amounts, but if you have beans and all that sort of stuff in your diet, you are not protein deficient ever, because we don't need a lot of protein. As humans, we don't need a lot of protein, and I'm sure some of you have seen those stories where people, fitness people, have just died suddenly because they've had too much protein in their body, and their body couldn't get rid of it, and it's very dangerous to have too much protein, from my understanding. Not that I'm a medical expert at all, and I'm sure some people will disagree with me. And that's your prerogative, but from my research and what I've seen and read about and all the rest of it, and what even my doctor said, it's pretty hard to become protein deficient if you've got beans in your diet or chickpeas or anything, any sort of legume or anything like that. Even just basic green beans and peas and stuff have protein in them. So so it's been an excellent learning experience for me, and I've learnt so much more about my body. I've learnt that, there's certain things that will trigger an attack. My doctor has actually said to me to, like, I love my bread. Like, I'm a European girl, and bread is a staple on the table. I don't eat any white bread anymore. Don't get me wrong, I love my white bread, especially when it's got peanut butter on it and it's fresh from the bakery. Like, who doesn't love that? And I could eat a whole loaf of bread if I was allowed to. But my body would scream at me. That is one thing that gives me heartburn, is white bread. And it doesn't matter what I have on it, whether I have Vegemite on it, or if I have peanut butter on it, or if I have it just plain, it will give me heartburn. So I don't eat a lot of white bread. I don't say that I don't eat any, because occasionally I eat, I eat out and I get white bread and stuff like that. So basically I've been eating a lot of sourdough and rye bread, and there's a bread that I can get from Aldi that it looks almost like it's dark brown. It almost looks like it's burnt. And it's a low carb bread. Not that I go for low carb because I eat potatoes and all that sort of stuff. It is, it's just a really nice bread. It's got a lot of sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds and all this sort of stuff in it. And it's just a really nice bread, and it toasts up really nice. And I have avocado with alfalfa sprouts, tomato, and all that sort of stuff for breakfast on that. So that's meeting the criteria. As I said, when I went in March, my bloods didn't come back that crash hot. I was low in vitamin D, which I sort of knew that was going to happen, because, like, when do I get out in the sun? And so I'm taking vitamin D tablets now, and my cholesterol was quite high. It was 4.8. It was 4.6, and now it is, and when I went just recently, which was 2 weeks ago, it's now 3.8. That I was going to get those numbers mixed up then. And my vitamin D levels have gone up. All my other levels are great, except for my good cholesterol is down. So that's where I have to eat some more avocados and olives and all that sort of stuff. So each day I try to have a few olives. So I'll sit down and I'll have like a little platter, and it'll have, I found a really nice feta cheese that is vegan. It's by Bio, I think it's called, but it's nice and creamy. So, and I've also found some rice crackers. They're brown rice crackers that I get from Aldi, and I love them. They're just so nice. They've got so much flavour. They're lightly salted. So I usually have a couple of those and some olives and some little baby gherkins, cucumbers, or whatever you want to call them, pickled. And I have a little bit of, not every day, I have a little bit of the feta cheese, because I used to love my cheese, but I just can't eat it. Drives me mental. I knew I'd miss one. Come on, just one out. There's one. There we go. Now I lost it again. There it is. Yeah, so if things are going well. The heartburn has really settled down. I've lost weight. I've dropped gone down more than one size, because I would have been in a 14. The 12 jeans are baggy on me. So I'm pretty chuffed, and this month has seen me get into the yoga. So I'm doing a sequence of yoga, and I try to do, I'm working up to 108 of them. And I can't think of the name of it, but anyway, it's basically you stand straight, you bend backwards, then you fold down, touch your toes, then you put one leg out behind you, another leg behind you, you're in a plank. Then you bring your knees down, your chin down to the floor, then you go into a cobra pose, then you go into downward facing dog or mountain pose, whichever one you want to call it. And then you bring your legs back up again until you're folded in half, so to speak, from the hips, and then you stand up and bend back, and that is one rotation. I can't even think of the name. The name has completely escaped me. And yeah, so basically I'm doing those, and I've got up to, I'm telling you what, it's not as easy as it sounds either, because you've got to do it in a fluid motion. So it's not do the back bend, stop, then fold. It is actually back bend, like, when I say it's just sort of you put your hands above your head and you just reach back without straining your back, and then you go down and all the rest of it. And I've still got a little bit of a belly, so it's a bit hard to get like my legs back up into the standing up position and all the rest of it. And you know, say call it as it is, but I've taken some before photos, and I started on the 2nd, sorry, Monday was the 2nd, yeah. So I started on the Monday, and I got up to 10. That's all I could do, and my target is 108. So I've got a long way to go. I'll leave a link to the channel down below of what I'm doing, so you can go and have a look at that as well. And I've joined their Facebook group, and we just do the daily tallies, and so I'm now responsible to, well, accountable to someone, so I'm putting that in there each day. And I've sort of, like, the first day I did 10, the next day I did 11, then I did 12, and now I'm up to 13. So I'm just adding one each day, because I am extremely unfit, and I do not want to fatigue myself, and I do not want to I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to hurt myself or anything like that. So I'm just going to slowly build up. And then the plan is to do 108 a day for a month. So I'm going to build up to that. It might take me 12 months to build up to that. But, you know, with the weather warming up and all the rest of it, I should be able to do it. What do you reckon? I reckon I can do it. So, like, I'm going to start walking again. Stick there. I prefer to walk in the mornings, but as I said, it's been super cold. But once the weather warms up and it starts to get lighter early, I can get up out of bed, because it gets daylight here about 4:30 in the morning as the weather starts to warm up. So I can get out of bed and go for a walk, and no one's even known I've left the house, because everyone's still asleep when I get back. And I'll go put my headphones on, and I'll go for an hour walk around the neighborhood. You know, I'll just basically set the timer for 30 minutes, and I'll just start walking, and then when it goes off, I just turn around and walk back home again. When I first start walking, I usually do it for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, depending how long it's been between walks. You know, getting out there and hitting the pavement. And yeah, so that's what I sort of try to do, and that's what I'm going to do again. And I'm hoping that I'll just feel better within myself, and I can lose some of this weight. My goal weight to get down to is around 60 to 65 kilos. I want it to be down to 70 kilos by my birthday. My birthday is at the end of the month. I seriously do not think I'm going to lose 8 kilos in 3 weeks. Like, it's not actually possible for me to do that with no thyroid. It just won't happen, because if anybody knows that's got a thyroid condition, it just won't happen. It's slow going. So for me to even lose 10 kilos, my doctor is like impressed. Then we talked about what I eat and stuff like that. And at the end of the consult, she says to me, she goes, "You eat better than I do." And she goes, "I think I need to look at my diet." You know, and that must be quite mind-boggling for a medical person to sit there. And like, she looks extremely healthy. She does not look unhealthy at all. And basically for her to sit there and go, "You actually eat better than me." And because I have the YouTube channel and I've got a Facebook group, which I must admit I haven't posted in a lot lately. And once I start doing some more, I'll start posting again. But I showed her some of the stuff because she goes, "Oh, how do you prepare your food and stuff like that?" So, and I had some pictures on my phone, so I showed it. And she goes, "Are you a chef or something?" I'm like, "No, I like, when I cook, I like my food to look pretty. I like it to look colourful. And I try to eat the rainbow." And she goes, "That's not a bad thing." So she's really keen to sort of see where I end up and all the rest of it. And it makes it so much easier. Like, I actually am at the same facility as my original doctor that I've been going to for 15 years. But she's a lot busier than, because she does a lot of medicals for minors and stuff like that. So she's a lot busier and a lot harder to get in to see for the day-to-day stuff. So I'm seeing this other doctor, and she's quite new. But it is actually quite nice to be with a doctor that is actually interested in what you're doing and helping you, not going, "You're just wrong, you can't do it." Because there are lots of doctors out there that like that. My other doctor wasn't like that, but she didn't always, just knew she didn't have the same, not the same belief, she just didn't hold much faith in it. She was very clinical. And I must say, I'm actually a little bit disappointed, because my last bloods that I got back from her, I got my cholesterol tested and she said it was fine. And the doctor that I was seeing the other day, she goes, "They were not fine at all on that." So obviously, and that was only, I think that was like 12 months ago. So that would have just been before we went into lockdown, because I had to get more thyroid medication. And the only thing that she told me to do was to change my thyroid medication. So she didn't tell me about my cholesterol. So whether she missed it or what, I don't know, but that's still, pretty bad not to tell me. And so my body, like in myself, I must have just known something wasn't right and I needed to change it. So that's where I ended up, and that's how I've ended up where I am right now. So yeah, and that's how it's been rolling for the last couple of months. So I'm almost, what are we in, August? So I've just clicked over, I started in January, so I've just clicked over to my 7th month of doing this, and I've lost 10 kilos. So I'm pretty happy with that. Like I've hit the pavement hard in the past and not even lost that amount of weight. So to just do that with food is pretty damn amazing, even if I say so myself. So I just got really excited then and just started prattling on about it. So I probably bored you to tears. I do apologise if you were bored with that whole thing. But yeah, that's what's working for me right now. And like you say that you're vegan and people go, "Oh, vegan." And it's like, yeah, no, it's not like that. Okay, I'm just doing this for health reasons and all the rest of it. The doctor was actually quite surprised that I still cook for the family and cook meat. And she goes, "Do you want to eat it?" I'm like, the only time I really want to eat it is when I'm cooking lasagna or spaghetti bolognese. Because I make a mean spaghetti bolognese and lasagna. And anybody that's been to any of my retreats knows that it's pretty damn good. So I do miss that, but I have managed to veganize it, and I actually make a lentil spaghetti, a red lentil spaghetti bolognese. So it almost has the same. Now it's not the same, okay, because it doesn't have the meat in it, but it's less fattening. It's got next to no fat in it whatsoever. I do use a little bit of olive oil in that because the garlic and the onion cook better with that, without using, like I have done it in the past where I've just used like a vegetable stock, and yes, that does work, but I just feel that the onion cooks better and gives it a better flavour when I do it with just a little bit of oil. And when I say a little bit of oil, like it is a tiny little bit of oil. It's about a teaspoon of oil. That's all that's in it. And so I have somewhat perfected that, so much so that I actually gave it to my 15-year-old and my 17-year-old, and they actually liked it. So yeah, and there's been a couple of other meals that I've introduced to the family, like the enchiladas. I make a black bean and corn stew, and if you want the recipe for that, you can find that over in my group DDs Vegan Made Easy on Facebook. It's there, and I use that mixture to for the inside of the enchiladas, and I make theirs vegetarian, and then I get some. With mine, I generally just sprinkle some more stuff on the top, and I might put a little bit of vegan mozzarella on top, but sometimes I don't even do that. And then I just top it with salsa and avocado, and that'll be my dinner. But they also get it, but they put their sour cream and all their stuff on it. But Savannah's been great. She goes, I know you love my brownies, Mum. She goes, can you find me a couple of recipes? And she goes, and I'll vegan recipes, and I'll play with them, and because she makes a good brownie, and she goes, I'll play around with them and get them right so they're like these ones that I make. And I'm like, no, you don't have to do that. I said, I need to get my cholesterol down first. We'll look at doing that next year. But she goes, no, I want to play around with it. So I found her a couple of recipes online. She hasn't, this has only been the recent development, so she hasn't had a chance to do that yet because she's been busy at work and school. Excuse me. But yeah, she's pretty keen to see if she can do it. Now, I find with things like that, if you use aquafaba, which is the water from chickpeas in the tin, because it acts like a raising agent, and it works really well, like keeps it nice and moist and all the rest of it. Because I mean, the brownie mixture that she makes has got a shit ton of eggs and butter in it. Like, she only makes them every now and again, but they're still so good, but they're so bad at the same time. So yeah, so we don't have them too often. And of course, you can't have brownies without, whipped cream. So like, I can't have any of that. So we've perfected the coconut cream. So she was pretty happy about that. We perfected that ages ago. Not that I have a lot of it, but she wanted to try it with some brownies, and she actually said she preferred it over the cream, regular cream. So that was pretty good. All right, so I am super excited for her to learn how to do those, and I will keep you posted about that. But I have been doing this for a little over an hour now, and so I've probably kept you long enough. I am going to get on with the rest of my day because, as I said, it's pretty early in the day here. So I'm going to continue on with my day working on the magazine, and I just noticed I missed one. So I'll get that in. And I will see you all again next week for another diamond paint with me. I am hoping to get some of this done over the long weekend as well, so that'll be good. But that is it for me today. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me and listening to me prattle on about my health and what I'm doing and all the rest of it. As I said, if you're interested, I do have another channel. I haven't posted on there for a while. I probably should do an update over there. It's just me documenting my journey, basically, from when I started it a little while after I started and whatnot. But it's got my backstory there and all the rest of it. And yeah, if you want to come over, just head on over. The links are down below. And we've also got the group which has some of my recipes. And that's what I've been doing, a lot of veganising my favourite recipes and whatnot. So once I've got that spaghetti bolognese sorted out, I'll post that recipe up as well. But I would just like to say thank you for joining me again. Hit that subscribe button and like button. Don't forget to leave us a tip in the tip jar. And I will see you all again next week for some more diamond paint with me. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye for now.